The wind was cold that evening, colder than it should have been for mid-April. I parked my black Ford Explorer across the street from my mother-in-law's house, the house I paid for, the one with white shutters and a red front door that my wife, Amanda, insisted her mother needed after her health scare. Spoiler alert, that scare turned out to be acid reflux, but somehow I still ended up 30 grand short and with another set of keys on my ring. I hadn't even killed the engine before I saw something strange. Amanda's car was already in the driveway. That wasn't the plan. We'd agreed I'd pick up our kids, Noah and Lily, after Amanda dropped them off. But seeing her car didn't set off alarms, not yet. She probably just stayed a few extra minutes. I'd convinced myself of that, until I heard her voice. I was walking along the hedges, heading for the porch when I passed the big living room window and heard Amanda laughing. This deep, fake laugh she always used when she was lying. It stopped me cold. And then came the sentence that snapped something deep inside me. If Daniel finds out, he'll lose his ing mind. But who cares? I already got what I wanted. And then her mother's voice followed, with the same venomous glee. He still thinks you're trying to save the marriage. What a joke. You deserve better than a man who checks receipts and believes in loyalty. I froze. I wasn't supposed to hear that. But I did. And every cell in my body turned to static. My legs moved on their own. I stepped back, slowly, heartbeat in my throat, trying not to breathe too loud. I didn't want them to know I was there. Not yet. I needed to hear more. My ears strained for every word. Amanda continued. Her voice dipped in contempt. He thinks I'm working overtime. Meanwhile, Tyler's been blowing my back out in hotel rooms. He's probably paid for himself. Dumbass. Her mother chuckled like it was sitcom material. Well, if he's too blind to see what's in front of him, that's on him. At least this Tyler guy has ambition and muscle. I couldn't breathe. My fingers clenched into fists without permission. Tyler. I didn't even know a Tyler. Overtime, hotel rooms, and she called me a dumbass? It wasn't the insult. It was the fact that she said it to her mother like I wasn't even human. Like I was some ATM with a beard. I backed away from the window, my stomach coiled tight like barbed wire. I didn't knock. I didn't go in. I didn't call for the kids. I got in the car and just sat there with the engine running and my pulse racing like I was in a getaway vehicle. And maybe I was. Everything we had, everything we'd built over 9 years, it shattered in 90 seconds because I decided to walk past a window. The worst part? I wasn't even surprised. Not entirely. There had been signs. But I wanted to believe they were just stress. Amanda's coldness. Her sudden obsession with girls' nights. The new lingerie that never showed up in our bedroom. The gym sessions that didn't match her calendar. Her phone always flipped down. Her perfume stronger. Her patience shorter. But I stayed quiet. I told myself to be a better man. To trust her. To work on myself. What a joke. She said it herself. She got what she wanted. So now it was my turn. But I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't storm in and make a scene in front of the kids. No, I had something better in mind. Let her think she still had the upper hand. Let her laugh one more time with her smug mother and her sweaty Tyler. Because next time I walk through that door, I won't be the man they laughed at through the glass. I'll be the one holding the detonator. And when I press it, everything Amanda's ever lied for will turn to ash. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling in our master bedroom. Yeah, our bedroom. While Amanda snored next to me like she hadn't just confessed to being a snake in designer heels hours earlier. She had no clue I'd been at her mom's house. No idea I'd heard it all. She even had the nerve to greet me with a kiss on the cheek when she got home, her lips still warm from her boy toy, no doubt. She curled into me like everything was fine. I played along. I whispered goodnight, pulled the blanket over her, and stared into the blackness until morning came, burning with one truth. I was married to a liar who weaponized love. By 7 a.m., I was in the office pretending to read emails. I couldn't even remember what my job was. All I could hear was that sentence echoing in my skull. Tyler's been blowing my back out. I gritted my teeth and typed Tyler into her Facebook friends list, her Instagram, even her LinkedIn. I knew she was dumb enough to leave crumbs. And there he was, Tyler Martinez, a fitness entrepreneur with a six-pack and a brain full of sawdust. His captions were all protein shakes and shirtless mirror selfies, the kind of guy who probably thinks reading books is a red flag. He had commented on Amanda's last photo, one of her at a rooftop bar from 2 weeks ago. His comment? a fire emoji, and a peach. Cute. By noon, I'd ordered a background check on him. By 3 p.m., I knew where he worked, where he trained clients, and the fact that he was living in a studio apartment above a vape shop downtown. Real ambition, huh? But I didn't reach out. I didn't confront Amanda either, because I was building something. Something quiet. See, when a man's heart gets broken, he either drinks or thinks. And I wasn't going to let this be the story of another guy who drank himself numb while his wife played house with a personal trainer. I started pulling records, hotel bills, credit card statements. I hacked into our Verizon account and pulled call logs. And there it was. Dozens of 10-minute calls to a number saved as Trina. Amanda doesn't even know a Trina. But Trina sure talks late at night. Sometimes around midnight. I traced the number. It wasn't Trina. It was Tyler. She didn't even try to hide it. She just changed the name. The contempt burned in my chest like acid. That night, we sat at the dinner table, and Amanda served lasagna like nothing was wrong. Lily told me she made a painting at school. Noah spilled milk. Amanda laughed and wiped it up. I nodded, smiled, played the fool. But under the table, my phone was recording every word. I'd already started documenting everything. I wanted evidence, not just for court, but for me. So that one day, when the storm hit, and she cried about how I gave up on the marriage, I could play it back and remember. This wasn't my fault. She made this choice. She made it while lying on hotel sheets I probably paid for. She made it while looking me in the eyes and calling me her rock. She made it while letting another man use her like a toy. The next day, I casually mentioned to her that I'd be picking up the kids again from her mother's place that weekend. She hesitated, not because of the kids, but because she knew that's where her whole little secret world existed. Her sanctuary of lies. Her mother's house, where I now realized they conspired against me like witches around a cauldron. Amanda forced a smile. Sure, babe. Thanks. I kissed her forehead. She flinched, like even she didn't believe it anymore. Saturday came, and I went back. Same black Ford. Same red front door. This time, I didn't walk along the window. I stood right at it. And listened. They were in the kitchen again. Amanda said, he has no clue. I swear. I could tell him I'm going to a yoga retreat in Alaska, and he'd believe it. Her mom laughed. And that's when I knocked. Once. Twice. Then opened the door with my spare key, the one I paid for when I paid for this whole damn house. Their faces froze. Where are the kids? I asked. Silence. Her mother opened her mouth, but I raised a hand. I'm not here for you, I said, eyes fixed on Amanda. Amanda tried to smile. They're upstairs watching cartoons. Why? What's wrong? I stepped closer. You tell me, Amanda. You've been talking a lot lately. Her lips parted. Her eyes darted. I pulled out my phone. Hit play. Her voice echoed through the kitchen speakers. Tyler's been blowing my back out. Her face drained like pain in the rain. Her mother stammered. Daniel, this isn't. Shut up. My voice was steady. My hands didn't shake. Amanda took a step back. You were spying on me? No, I said. I was confirming a death. And I meant it. The woman I married was dead. And the one standing in front of me, she was about to watch the rest of her kingdom burn. Amanda's jaw clenched. You're acting insane, she hissed, glancing at her mother for backup. What are you even talking about? That's taken out of context. We were joking. Joking. That word snapped something inside me. You were joking about letting another man touch you while I was home putting the kids to sleep? I said, calm, steady, too calm. You were joking when you called me a dumbass for trusting you? That's what this is, Amanda. AF ***** ing stand-up routine. Her mother stepped forward. Daniel, you need to leave. You're making a scene in front of the children. The children? I turned to her. You mean the same children whose father you just called pathetic through a window he paid for? She opened her mouth again, but I'd already moved on. I walked right past Amanda, past the granite counters and farmhouse sink she'd begged me to renovate, and went upstairs to the guest room where Lily and Noah were quietly watching a cartoon, their small faces glowing in the screen's light. My heart cracked again just looking at them. So innocent. So far from the filth brewing downstairs. I smiled. Hey guys, we're going to Dad's early, okay? They jumped up, happy. No questions asked. Kids know. They always know more than we think. I packed their bags in silence. Amanda didn't follow. Coward. By the time I came back down with them, she was on the phone, probably calling Tyler, or her lawyer, or God himself to beg for a do-over. I didn't care. I buckled the kids into the car, turned on the engine, and drove off without another word. But my mind was ascream. That night, I waited until they were asleep. I sat on the balcony of my apartment, the one she left me in when she claimed she needed space a few months ago. Now I knew why. There's always a man behind the curtain when women start using the word space. I opened my laptop and started drafting an email. Not to Amanda, to my lawyer. I'd already collected enough. The call logs, the hotel receipts, the voice recording, even the Facebook screenshots of Tyler's pathetic little peach emojis. All of it was going into the file. Amanda thought she was clever. She thought I'd rage and cry and beg. But begging wasn't in my DNA. I'd built everything we had. Our home, the savings, the cars, even the damn house her mom lived in. And she tossed it all for muscles and meaningless late-night hotel hookups. She thought I'd give up. She thought I'd let her walk away clean. But Amanda didn't marry a fool. She married a man who watches, listens, plans. The next morning, I called her. Calmly. We need to talk, I said. What about? Her voice was coated in fake innocence. She must have spent all night crafting a lie. I didn't give her time to use it. I'm filing for divorce, I said. You can sign peacefully, or you can explain in court why your boyfriend's name shows up on 10 hotel receipts tied to our joint card. Silence. I have no idea what you're talking about. That was her answer. I laughed. You will. I'll send over the paperwork. Oh, and you might want to let Tyler know. He's being subpoenaed too. Her voice cracked. You're serious? Dead serious. And one more thing. Your mother has 30 days to vacate my property. The next sound I heard? Tears. Rage. Then the click of a call being ended. She had no fight left. Because her entire arsenal was built on deception. And liars panic when they meet a man with receipts. The days that followed were a blur of lawyers, asset separation, and freezing joint accounts. Amanda tried to delay the inevitable, crying to her mother, begging her friends to talk sense into me. They called. I didn't answer. Meanwhile, I was already moving on. I enrolled the kids in a new school closer to me. I had dinner with my parents for the first time in months without feeling like I had a noose around my ribs. I started sleeping again. Really sleeping. 1 week later, Tyler texted me. No greeting. Just, whatever she told you, it wasn't true. She lied to both of us. I stared at the message for a long moment, then replied, You were just the last idiot in a long line of suckers. Good luck. He never replied. Amanda tried one last time. She showed up at my apartment at midnight in a hoodie and tears, asking to talk, to explain. I opened the door, looked her in the eyes, and said, Talk to my attorney. Then closed the door and locked it. 3 weeks passed. The divorce papers were signed. The kids were with me most weekends. And Amanda was publicly pretending to be focused on self-healing while posting thirst traps on Instagram with captions like, Sometimes storms clear the path. Yeah, Amanda, some storms take the roof off your life and expose who you really are underneath. Tyler, he disappeared, deleted his socials, moved gyms, probably embarrassed he fell for a married woman who played him like a fiddle and got him subpoenaed in the process. I didn't care. He was just a pawn in Amanda's pathetic little game of attention and validation. What still kept me up at night wasn't the betrayal. It was the performance. Every fake smile. Every I love you. Every morning she kissed our kids like she wasn't sneaking around behind their father's back. That was the part that cut deepest. That I slept next to her while she was planning ways to destroy me emotionally and financially. And the worst part? I would have taken a bullet for her. Now, I wouldn't hand her an umbrella in the rain. I remember clearly, Friday night. I'd picked up Noah and Lily from their school, and they were in the back seat humming to a Disney song. That sound, it made me feel something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. But peace doesn't last long when you've been married to a woman like Amanda. When I got home, I saw it. An envelope slipped under my apartment door. No stamp. No return name. Inside was a single sheet of paper. A typed note. You may think you've won, but you have no idea what she's still hiding. Go check your bank's wire history from March 3rd. Ask yourself why $5,000 was sent from your joint account to a JS Holdings. No signature. No explanation. Just that. I didn't wait. I opened my laptop and pulled up the account records I downloaded from my lawyer. There it was. March 3rd. $5,000. Gone. GS Holdings. I'd never seen that transaction. Amanda had been in charge of handling the bills that month. She made sure to distract me by scheduling marriage counseling The same week, something I now knew was a ploy to keep me occupied while she cleaned me out. I dug deeper. JS Holdings was a shell LLC tied to a burner address in a strip mall on the edge of the city. My lawyer confirmed it had ties to a registered account in Amanda's maiden name. Translation? She was laundering her betrayal. She hadn't just cheated with Tyler. She had been planning an exit. A financial one. A full-on extraction. She probably hoped to drain our savings slowly, transfer it to shell accounts, and vanish with Mr. Protein Shake to start a new life once she'd gutted mine. But I'd caught her mid-theft. Now everything she had left was collapsing. I sent my lawyer everything. Within hours, he filed to reopen the financials in our divorce. Amanda would now be forced to testify under oath about the hidden transfer. That night, my phone rang. Unknown number. I didn't answer. A voicemail came through. It was her. Daniel, please. We need to talk. It wasn't what it looks like. I was going to tell you. I was scared. You don't understand how hard it's been. Please don't do this. Don't take the kids. That last part, don't take the kids, lit my blood on fire. Because she hadn't mentioned them once. Not once. Not when she cheated. Not during the separation. Not during the lawyers. They were an afterthought, until she realized the judge might not look kindly on her secret bank accounts and affair. I played that voicemail for my lawyer too. He said it was gold. The next week, we were back in court. Amanda showed up looking like a drowned rat in designer heels, exhausted, worn, as if life had finally started paying her back in full. Her lawyer was rattled. He didn't expect me to have receipts. He didn't expect the financial records, or the recordings, or the silent witnesses I'd collected during the fallout. Amanda tried to spin it. I was scared. I thought he'd leave me if I told him the truth. Tyler was just a mistake. The judge didn't buy it. Joint custody? Denied. Spousal support? Denied. She walked out with nothing but her last name and a sinking reputation. I watched her walk out of that courtroom, her posture bent, her heels clicking like a fading metronome of someone whose clock had just run out. And for the first time in months, I felt no rage. No sadness. Just clarity. This wasn't the end. It was my beginning. 2 months passed. My apartment was quieter now, calmer. The kind of calm that only comes after a war's been fought and the smoke clears. The kind of silence that tells you survived something brutal. The kids were adjusting well, better than expected. I kept everything as stable for them as possible. Their rooms had all their favorite things. I even replicated the starry ceiling lights from their old bedrooms. They noticed, smiled, called it cooler than Mom's house. Amanda? She moved into a rental across town. A downgraded lifestyle. No more luxury skincare boxes or weekend getaways. Her Instagram slowly shifted from filtered sunsets to motivational quotes about healing and forgiveness. Tyler was nowhere to be found. One night, while putting Noah to bed, he asked me the question I'd been dreading. Why don't you and Mommy live together anymore? I sat on the edge of his bed, tucked him in a little tighter. I couldn't lie, not fully. Because sometimes, I said, people stop being honest with each other. And when that happens, living together doesn't feel like home anymore. He blinked up at me. Did Mommy lie? A knot formed in my throat. I nodded slowly. Yeah, bud. She did. He didn't say anything. Just hugged me. Kids don't need the whole story. They just want to feel safe. And I made it my mission that night. No matter what Amanda had tried to destroy, I would rebuild twice as strong. For them. For me. The next blow came unexpected. I got a letter in the mail, Amanda's handwriting. I almost tossed it, but curiosity got the better of me. Inside was a neatly folded piece of paper. No, dear Daniel. No apology. Just 2 sentences. You think you won. But I never needed you to begin with. I laughed. Actually laughed. Because when a woman loses everything she cheated for and still manages to pretend she's the victim, you know she's too far gone to ever come back from it. And that's when I knew I was free. But fate wasn't done with her. 3 weeks later, I got a call from a mutual friend. Amanda had been fired from her job. Apparently, she tried to manipulate her way into a promotion using charm and suggestive behavior. It backfired. HR got involved. Her reputation followed her like a bad smell. Tyler, he'd apparently started dating someone else, a single mom with 2 kids and a love for pyramid schemes. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. Amanda showed up at my door one evening. No warning. She looked different. Not in a she's changed way, but in a life finally caught up kind of way. Her eyes were dull. Her tone low. I messed everything up, she whispered. I know I can't fix it. But I miss our family. I looked at her. At the woman who once laughed with her mother about how easy I was to fool. The woman who laid in another man's arms while I worked 2 jobs to keep her happy. The woman who looked our children in the eye and pretended everything was fine, while secretly building an escape plan behind my back. And I said, with all the peace I'd earned, "You don't miss our family. You miss the version of your life where you could lie and still be loved." She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just nodded, turned around, and walked down the hallway. I closed the door, locked it, and stood there in the silence that followed. It didn't hurt anymore. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even relieved. I was done. Fully, finally done. And that was the day I got my life back. Summer came fast that year. The days were longer, but they didn't drag. I found myself smiling more, sleeping better, breathing easier. The pressure that had lived in my chest for years, this invisible weight I couldn't explain, it was gone. Amanda used to call it stress from work. I used to believe her. Now I knew what it really was, being tethered to someone who chipped away at you piece by piece, pretending it was love. One Saturday, Lily ran into the living room wearing her mom's old hoodie, the same one Amanda used to wear around the house, claiming it was super comfy. I froze for a second, but then I laughed, because it wasn't Amanda's hoodie anymore. It was Lily's, and that moment meant something. It meant my kids weren't holding on to who Amanda was. They were creating something new. They were healing too, in their own way. Amanda still tried, occasionally. Little texts, short emails, a voicemail here and there. All with the same rhythm. "Can we talk? I miss the kids. Maybe we can figure things out." But it was always about her. Never about them. Never about what she did. She never said, "I'm sorry." Not once. Not when I caught her. Not in court. Not in the days after when she saw her life start to shrink. She played victim, hoping someone else would clean up the mess she made. I didn't reply. Silence became my answer. A boundary sharper than any words. And then came the final strike, the one that told me karma hadn't forgotten her address. She showed up at Noah's school one afternoon unannounced. Tried to take him early without telling me or notifying the office. The school called me. I was there within 15 minutes. Amanda stood by the front office, arms crossed, clearly irritated that someone had dared challenge her sense of entitlement. "What are you doing here?" I asked, calm but direct. She rolled her eyes. "I just wanted to see him." "Is that a crime now?" "You didn't go through the pickup list. You didn't notify anyone. You don't have today in the custody schedule. I'm his mother, and I'm the one following the law." I snapped. "You don't get to play mom when it's convenient." She scoffed and stormed out. That was her last real attempt. She didn't fight back after that. Not legally. Not emotionally. Maybe because she knew there was nothing left to take from me. And yet, I hadn't just survived her. I had built something better from the wreckage. I started my own business that fall. Small at first, consulting, remote work, something I could do from home. But it grew. Slowly, steadily. I had time for the kids, time for myself. Time to live, not just endure. I started seeing someone new too. Emily. She was nothing like Amanda. Kind, quiet, patient. She didn't play games. She didn't make me guess. She showed up when she said she would. Listened when I talked. Cared when I was silent. The first night she met the kids, Lily gave her a drawing, stick figures of the 3 of us under a bright sun. Emily cried when she saw it. I didn't. I just smiled. Because I knew now, the worst thing Amanda ever did wasn't cheating. It was trying to convince me I didn't deserve better. But I did. And I found it. Not in revenge. Not in tearing her down. But in standing tall when she expected me to crumble. Now, when people ask me about Amanda, I just shrug. She's the woman who taught me what a bad marriage looks like. So I could recognize a good life when it finally showed up. The leaves started to fall in October, and with them, any last remnants of the life I used to have with Amanda. It was strange how something that once felt permanent, like concrete, could dissolve into nothing more than passing thoughts. Fleeting memories that didn't hurt anymore. They were just there, like old photos you don't need to look at again. One evening, after putting the kids to bed, I found myself sitting on the porch with a whiskey glass in hand, just listening to the wind. Emily was inside, reading something quietly. The house smelled like apple pie and candle wax, warm and alive, so different from the cold, stage perfection Amanda used to chase. I remembered the last Thanksgiving Amanda and I spent together. She burned the turkey and blamed the oven, then blamed me for distracting her when I asked if she needed help. It turned into a full-blown argument that ended with her locking herself in the bathroom and crying loud enough to make sure I could hear. Emily wasn't like that. She didn't perform her sadness. She didn't weaponize silence or slam doors to win arguments. She just talked. And when she cried into my chest. Quietly, genuinely, like someone who actually felt things. It's not that I thought Amanda was incapable of feeling. No, it's that I now understood the difference between manipulation and emotion. Amanda used tears the way some people use knives. Sharp, precise, always aiming to cut deep and leave a scar. But I wasn't bleeding anymore. Amanda still saw the kids every other weekend, but even that started fading. She'd reschedule last minute, claiming work stuff. Or sometimes just didn't show up at all. Noah stopped asking where she was. Lily didn't even bother packing a bag anymore. They had their home, and it wasn't hers. One day, out of the blue, I got a message from Amanda's cousin, Rachel. We hadn't spoken in years. "Just so you know," it said, "Amanda's living with some guy named Jeremy now. She told the family you cheated and ruined her life. Thought you'd want the heads up." I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was predictable. Amanda couldn't stand the idea of people seeing her for who she really was. She needed to rewrite the story so that she was the abandoned wife, the heartbroken mother, the poor woman who had been blindsided by betrayal. She needed to be the victim because, deep down, she knew she'd never be the hero. I didn't respond to Rachel. Didn't need to. Let Amanda say what she wanted. Let her build whatever fantasy helped her sleep at night. The people who mattered knew the truth. My kids knew. Emily knew. And most importantly, I knew. The only person she was lying to anymore was herself. One afternoon in early November, I found an old photo in a drawer. Me and Amanda, on our wedding day. She was smiling wide, wearing the dress she'd cried over when the boutique said it was the last one in her size. I was grinning like a fool. We looked happy. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I tossed it in the trash without a second thought. Because the man in that photo? He was gone. Naive. Blind. Desperate to be loved, even if it meant being lied to. The man standing in his place now? He knew better. And every scar he carried wasn't a sign of defeat. It was proof that he'd made it out. Amanda tried to turn our love into a transaction. A manipulation. A weapon. But she lost. Not because I ruined her life. Because I refused to let her ruin mine. And that, right there, was the final victory. Winter came. The kind of winter where the air bites a little harder, but it doesn't reach your bones. Because you've been through colder things. And survived. Snow fell gently outside the window as I watched Lily and Noah build a lopsided snowman in the front yard. Emily stood beside them, holding two mismatched scarves, laughing as they argued over which one the snowman should wear. I sipped my coffee and just watched. No tension, no dread, no pretending. I used to think happily ever after was some fairy tale lie we tell ourselves to survive disappointment. But now I know it's real. It just doesn't look like the movies. Sometimes, it looks like peace after chaos. Like quiet mornings and honest nights. Like knowing exactly who sleeps beside you, and not wondering what they're hiding behind their smile. Amanda disappeared from our lives slowly, like a stain that fades with enough scrubbing. She still saw the kids once in a while, but the visits were brief, uneven. She showed up with excuses, left with guilt, and each time, they missed her a little less. That was her choice, and I stopped trying to understand her. That part of my life, the part filled with second-guessing and buried rage, was over. One evening, Noah asked, "Dad, are you happy now?" I looked at him, really looked, and I said the only thing I could. "Yeah, buddy, I really am." Because I was. Not because Amanda was gone, but because I finally was too. Gone from the version of me that tolerated being disrespected. Gone from the quiet suffering. Gone from the illusion that love has to hurt to be real. I'd rebuilt everything she tried to destroy, and I did it without her name on a single piece of it. So here's what I'd tell anyone who's been through what I have. When the lies come crashing down and you feel like you're drowning in betrayal, don't chase them. Don't try to fix someone who broke you on purpose. Don't light yourself on fire to keep a liar warm. Stand up, gather the pieces, and rebuild something that has your name carved into the foundation, not theirs. Because in the end, the sweetest revenge is living a life they never got to poison.